It's hard to believe, but we are already a fourth of the way done with 2016. I wrote an article at the beginning of the year for Examiner, basically detailing my top anticipated games of that first quarter, and now I'm basically going to reflect on them. All the games that were on that list, all the games that were not, things that I reviewed, things that I skipped, things I haven't played yet. Maybe there's some delays in there too, so no one has played them. So without further ado, let us get to the review of Q1. First of all, I just want to get through all the games that I did not get to play, so let's just go through those real quick. We got the Banner Saga, Darkest Dungeon, Final Fantasy Explorers, Firewatch, Gravity Rush, Hyrule Warriors Legends, Mighty Number 9, but that got delayed, so no one has played it, Project Cross Zone 2, Unravel, The Witness, and that's it. And for one reason or another, I just haven't gone to these. I haven't bought them. I didn't get review codes. They're just too many games that kind of occupied my space. I do really still wish to play all these games, but just not yet. So let's get to the reviews that I have done so far in the year. Let's begin with Arslan, The Warriors of Legend. Of course, this was a Dynasty Warriors spin-off based off of the anime. It's a really good anime. It doesn't really do that much different than the Dynasty Warriors games, but I did enjoy it, of course. I am a big fan of these games, and of course, the best way to experience these things is co-op. It is very, very linear, not a lot of extra stuff to do, which is kind of what these games are known for, both the co-op and that there's, a lot of replay and stuff like that, but it was just very linear compared to what I was used to. Still, I did enjoy it, and it is a very, very gorgeous game. Next, we got the Deadly Tower of Monsters, which is something that I didn't really hear about too much, but then I got the review code for it, and it is very enjoyable. I love the whole B-movies aesthetic. It really sticks to it with like the voiceover of like the director's commentary and his assistant, and just beating up on like these weird plastic models of dinosaurs and apes, and it was just very cool. The mechanics were just a little weird to me, and how you level up and like the number of stations, and the way it ended was very anticlimactic, even for anticlimactic endings, if that makes sense. But yeah, it's definitely a super, super weird game that no one really talked about, and I just want to really do it justice, because I think it is a unique game that really should be experienced. Too bad there's not a demo out there. I don't think there's a demo. There should be a demo. And of course, we got Digimon Story Cyber next. I kind of grew up both liking Pokemon and Digimon, but I never really played any of the Digimon games because a lot of them never really came out over here, and the ones that did weren't that great as far as I've heard, and I have dabbled in a couple with like the PlayStation generation, but this one got a lot of good buzz, and so I picked it up on PS4, loved it, decided this was more of a PS Vita game, so I got that version too, and it is just such a good game, a nice little dungeon crawler. There's a lot of repetitiveness in terms of like going back to dungeons over and over again, and it's kind of easy early on, but it does ramp up, and there's not a lot of grinding, which is very nice, and yeah, it's just like a good Pokemon clone as much as like it really should be originally, but it just never got to that point. But now we have a really good Pokemon clone Digimon game. I know Digimon fans are probably like, well, actually Pokemon's the bad series and Digimon's the good series, and etc, etc, but hey, let me just say that this is a good game, so let's just leave it at that. Let's move on to Far Cry Primal, another game that I really wasn't anticipating just because, Caveman Far Cry seemed kind of weird. But after I played it, man, the trailers really didn't do it justice. It is a gorgeous, gorgeous game. I did not stick with it in that I had a lot of fun from what I played for the, the couple hours that I did. But I found, the lack of real story that I really care about in like this old setting and stuff like that. I just didn't leave an impression, but all the mechanics I really did love. All the crafting systems, the very just brutal nature of it. Lighting things on fire and having everything go on fire was just amazing and like shocking for the first time, as well as summoning multiple animals, riding bears, summoning wolves to attack your opponents. That stuff was really cool. I just wish that everything around it was better, but man, I should also say that's a gorgeous game. Holy moly! I really want to see like the actual next Far Cry in the modern times or whatever. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be a modern setting for me to enjoy it. This one just, I don't know, it was just a weird split for me, I suppose. Now let's get into one of my favorite games of the year, which is one of my really most anticipated since the 2013 version came out, and that of course would be Fire Emblem Fates, and I got Birthright, and I feel very justified in that decision because it is exactly what I wanted from a sequel to Fire Emblem Awakening. I dig the whole new aesthetic, you know, compared to the whole Knights of what the entire series really was. Now it's kind of like samurai and ninjas. I love that. And anyone who would go the other route, I mean, it is a lot harder than the one more classic Fire Emblem, but this one is more open and just, you know, expanding the series. I mean, I get that a lot of people are like, you gotta have it hard, you gotta have it stick the same way, but what's wrong with, you know, changing it up? This is like the 12th, 17th sequel. I can't exactly remember last year when I did the anniversary how many games are in the series, but it's getting up there, and it's, you know, it's time for a change. Awakening was a good step for that, and this one is as well. It's exactly kind of how I feel with Fallout 4, where it's not a big leap forward that I was hoping and expecting, but I do like it more than I do Fallout 4. It is a nice embrace. It is very, very addicting. I have put so many hours into it, probably 30 by now, and I haven't even beaten it. That's because I'm doing a lot of side stuff, and all, you know, the castle building is great. All the extra mentions, the DLC is awesome. It is a fantastic game. I don't think it really needed to be 3 games. 4, kind of, but yeah, I'm a little, you know, miffed, I guess, about that. It's very strange how they did the Pokemon thing with this one, even though they're all different in a way, but it seems a little bit shady for me. A little shady, Nintendo, but I'll forgive you because this game is just too awesome to miss. And up next we got Mario & Luigi Paper Jam, which made a big kick up for me. I did the official review for Examiner, and it wasn't exactly to my liking. It was fun, but it was also just, man, there was a lot of problems that I didn't like about it. It was just kind of more of the same. It was crammed with a lot of filler, a lot of paper toad stuff. The story just wasn't wacky enough. It was staying very, very safe, and it wasn't as ingenious as a lot of the Mario & Luigi games are. The combat is the most solid I've ever experienced in any of the games, of course. Graphics are kind of a weird juxtaposition between the paper and the, you know, the watercolor polygons of Mario & Luigi from the main games. It was good. I gave it a 3 out of 5, and I really stick to it, but the more this year goes on, the less I really think back on it fondly. Speaking of fond memories, well, not really, but we got Naruto Shippuden, Ultimate Ninja Storm 4. Man, speaking of gorgeous games, CyberConnect 2 does anime games like no other, which makes my faith in them helping out Square Enix with the Final Fantasy VII Remake that much more awesome. You know, it really would be cool to see Final Fantasy VII done in this anime cel-shaded style, but it wouldn't gel with a lot of people probably either. But they know how to do like action combat, so I am very, very hopeful with that. And this one is just like, you know, a nice conclusion to the whole Naruto series. If you don't know anything about Naruto, you're gonna be super lost here, but it has, you know, gigantic summon battles, a really fun and expansive list of so many characters to go into, all your favorites and not favorites. There's a lot to choose from. There's the arena battles, and there's kind of like an RPG mode that goes through the story kind of afterwards, and yeah, there's a lot here to love for Naruto fans, and, you know, for not fighting game fans, you know, maybe check in. This might be okay for you. Not sure, but it, no denying that it does put a lot of faith, again, with me, with, you know, the Final Fantasy VII Remake. Speaking of remakes, we have Resident Evil 0 HD Remaster, whatever the hell this game is called. This is the one Resident Evil that I never played right when it released on the GameCube. It looked so weird to me, but after I played it, man, did I have a lot of problems with this game. The inventory system, I'm sure you must have heard this by now, but the inventory system is really, really bad. You have a very small amount of spaces. You have no trunk to put all your stuff in that magically warps to the next trunk. Okay, so that's, you know, kind of weird. I get why people were kind of like, hey, why do these things exist and they can warp to different places? Whatever, let's make it real. So the decision was to have you leave stuff on the floor randomly, so you can't find it. You can leave stuff in a room, but then the room fills up. How can a room fill up with just so many infuriating things with that? But because I am a truly dedicated Resident Evil fan, I stuck with it, and I think I enjoyed myself in a very weird way. It is definitely one of the weakest Resident Evils for sure. I mean, the story of Rebecca Chambers teaming up with Billy and them not mentioning anything, or I should say Rebecca not mentioning anything in Resident Evil 1. I get it, you kind of retcon yourself with a lot of stuff when you make remakes and prequels, but geez Louise, this one feels so weird, but it is a really gorgeous remake, or I should say, you know, the original for the GameCube was really good looking as well, but yeah, I don't know, it's well, you know, let's just leave it at that and move on to another Capcom game that I feel very weird about as well, which is Street Fighter V. And I'm sure a lot of people feel very weird about this because they launched basically a beta, kind of. A lot of the modes are just stripped through it. There's supposed to be a big March update, and that March update wasn't as big as some people were hoping. Everything's supposed to be out in June, so why don't you ship it then? I don't know. In terms of fighting and graphics, it is another gorgeous game, and the fighting is super tight, but the campaign mode that they have in there is just laughably ridiculous. I'll use another R word here, but I'm trying to cut back on that one. Not rape, so I will say that. Yeah, you know what? I will say that. I feel like customers probably got raped by buying this game. Alright, you know what? I'm not sure if the R word is bad or the R word is bad, but either way, let's just skip this aside and move on to our last game of the evening, morning, whenever you listen to this, which is Tom Clancy's The Division, which is, a lot of people are saying, very Destiny-like, and it really is, but it's a lot better than Destiny's in some ways too. I think the atmosphere and the world that Destiny built is better than this one. I mean, this takes place weeks after, you know, the Black Friday money apocalypse, but everything's gone to shit really fast, and there's so many factions that leaped up, and you're kind of killing things, even though that some are just like random looters and just whatever. But you know, in terms of a third-person shooter game where you're shooting stuff, it is pretty good. You're doing the matchmaking right in front of the areas where you're going to these like dungeons that are really good and well crafted. It's a very tough game. Not a lot of customization when it comes to your character, but that's fine. But it is just an addicting game to go through the dark zone or the multiplayer and co-op and all that stuff. It's really cool. I definitely can see them expanding to, you know, different cities, or expanding, you know, past Manhattan. I wish they nailed the story a little bit, but in terms of just an RPG where I go in, put my headphones on, listen to music or podcast or what have you, it is a really good game, and I'm really happy that they kind of stuck the landing for the most part. And yeah, and that is Q1 for you. I am looking forward to Q2. I, of course, am putting up my preview for that on Examiner, so look for that. And in 3 months, I'll be back to review Q2. So until then, see ya.